Is it possible for you to get up to $100,000 or even more in unsecured credit with a brand spanking new business? Well, I'm here to tell you that it absolutely is. My name is Monica Main, and I'm a serial entrepreneur and self-made millionaire. And I'm here to tell you that you absolutely can get upwards of $100,000 or more in unsecured credit with a brand spanking new business. So over the years, I've started hundreds of LLCs and S corporations for various different business endeavors. And each and every time I've been able to score tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in unsecured credit. And I'm going to share with you three very simple strategies that you need to take to be able to qualify for this kind of money, even if it's a brand new business. So first and foremost, before we get into this, I want to share with you kind of a little bit of backstory on what you need to know about personal credit first. This is just going to be a mini crash course before you dive into the business credit side. So with personal credit, you do need to have ideally a mid FICO of 680 or above. So if you're not sure what a mid FICO is, as you know, there's three credit reporting bureaus. There's TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. And all three have different algorithms in how they score your personal credit. So you will have three different personal credit scores when you pull your personal credit with each one of these bureaus. And so the mid score is the middle of the three. So you ideally want to get your mid FICO score of 680 or above. I have a ton of personal credit videos if you want to understand exactly how to boost that mid FICO score as quickly as possible. In fact, I have a secret strategy that allows you to boost that score of, anywhere from 100 to 200 points in the next, say, 30 to 60 days if you follow suit with everything I share with you. So you can check out my other videos on personal credit at any point in time. But again, you want your mid FICO to be about 680 or above, okay? So with that being said, if you have that mid FICO score up there, even better if it's 720 or above, that's golden right there. So once you have that mid FICO up there, then and only then do I suggest that you start to apply for business credit. But you cannot do that right away. Obviously, you have to have a business first. And again, it does not matter if it's a brand spanking new business, you can still qualify for this unsecured business credit. However, you have to get a business. So that is step number one. You have to form an LLC or an S corporation. It could either be in your home state or it can be a fully anonymous corporation. So there's only 4 states in the United States that you can get a fully anonymous corporation. The first one's Nevada. The second one is New Mexico. The third one is Wyoming. And the fourth one is Delaware. So you can choose to get a corporation in one of those 4 states. You have a law firm set it up for you. It's very cheap, actually. I use a company called AmeriLawyer.com, and there's more information about them in the description box below. And you can form a corporation in either your home state or one of the 4 states that I mentioned. And if you do choose one of the anonymous states, meaning that nobody will ever know that you're the owner of the company unless it's the IRS and you're filing your annual tax return on March 15th of every year for your corporation, the IRS is going to be the only entity that knows that you own that company. Nobody else is going to know, and it kind of gives you that extra layer of asset protection. So again, it's New Mexico, Nevada, Wyoming, or Delaware. Those are the 4 states that you can get an anonymous corporation. You can use either a home state company that forms, like for example, Wyoming or Delaware corporations that are in that state, or you can use AmeriLawyer.com to get, like, say, a New Mexico or Nevada corporation. And you make sure that you let them know that you want an anonymous corporation. And again, that kind of shields you from people knowing who owns what. And as you become more of a successful multimillionaire, there's going to be more people that are going to be interested in what you have financially. And ideally, if they're one of these, unscrupulous individuals, they might try to sue you for what you have if they know you own a certain corporation. So that's kind of why I suggest early on that people consider when they set up a business, if they're new to the business world, maybe make sure that your new business is a fully anonymous entity. And maybe you start off on a good foot like that. And so if you choose that route, you can, or just simply choose to form a corporation in your home state. So you can either choose an LLC. I personally don't like single member LLCs. Years ago in 2011, I got a nice little letter from the IRS from one of my single member LLCs that said, listen, we are not accepting your filing as a single member LLC. You either have to include another entity to make this a legally compliant LLC, or you need to change the designation of your corporation into a corporate entity, like a C corporation or S corporation, because we're not accepting your filings. We're not accepting your tax returns. And so ever since I got that letter from the IRS, I no longer form single member LLC. So you're going to find that pretty much every accountant and lawyer in the country that knows a lot about forming corporations, a lot of them will say, yeah, go ahead and form your single member LLC, but many of them have never gotten that nice little letter from the IRS before. So unless you actually have a business partner that you're going to be doing your businesses with, not just a spouse, but a business partner that you're either going to be helping, they're going to be helping set up your business if you're going to have a business, or they're going to be offering their credit or some cash in your business, whether it's a real estate endeavor or whether you're actually starting some kind of internet business, for example. In which case, if you are going to be two people starting a business, then you can do an LLC. Otherwise, if it's you, yourself, and you, and nobody else, then I strongly suggest that you start what's called an S corporation. Now, all corporations start off as a C corporation. They are born a C corporation unless you get an LLC. So if you get your corporation, corporate entity, it's going to start off as a C corporation. So if you have a company like AmeriLawyer, for example, form a corporation for you, it's going to be born a C corporation. So you're going to get your corporate docs in the mail. Ideally, you'll have them get your EIN, which stands for Employer Identification Number. That's essentially the social security number for your corporate entity. Very important if you want credit, by the way. You have to get that EIN. So I suggest that you have them do everything for you, including getting your corporate structure set up, your corporation, and an EIN. I would not pay the extra money for them to make it a C to an S corporation, because all they're going to do is literally print out a few pieces of paper. It's a 2553. So you basically go to the irs.gov website. Once you get your corporate docs and your EIN number in your hand, they'll give you a corporate box. Once you get that box in your hand, you go to the irs.gov website, type in form 2553 in the search bar in the irs.gov website. You can find the form that AmeriLawyer or others are going to charge $125 to $150 or more to basically fill out, and you still have to sign the form and mail it into the IRS. Why spend $125 or more to have them simply type out a piece of paper for you that you have to mail in yourself? You might as well save that money and actually get the paperwork from the irs.gov website. So once you get your corporate docs, get your EIN, you can then go to the irs.gov website, type in form 2553. That will switch your C corporation over to an S corporation. And the only way you're going to be able to get this paperwork to the IRS is to either fax it in or mail it in. Okay? So once that's off in the mail, you now have a corporation that will soon be an S corporation. But no matter what happens with the IRS, usually takes between 4 and 8 weeks to get the paperwork back from the IRS stating that you're officially an S corporation. Don't worry about that. That has nothing to do with the credit stuff. I'm just trying to help you set up from a C to an S corporation. So now that you have your new corporation, you need to consider getting yourself a business address. I strongly suggest that you go to a UPS store or some kind of little mom and pop pack and post kind of place where you can actually set up a physical mailing address, and you'll have a box number, like a personal mailbox number. Ideally, you'll find a mailbox place that allows you to use a different number. Now, by USPS standards, I guess a lot of the time when these really above board pack and post kinds of places have you get a personal mailbox, they're very, very compliant with the USPS. They're like, oh no, you have to use PMB number and then the box number. And that doesn't look good when it comes to applying for credit. However, it looks really good when you have like a suite number. So suite number, for example, or penthouse number, for example, that looks way better. And I've found over the years, having opened up numerous different UPS store, pack and post, mom and pop kind of mailbox place boxes over the years, some of them will allow you to use suite number or penthouse number or whatever instead of PMB, because you don't want to use PMB. That just looks dumb on all of your applications. So you're going to probably have to call around to find different ones that offer mailbox services that will allow you to use suite or something else, or in the very least number, not PMB. PMB stands for personal mailbox. You don't want that on your application. So once you find a place that will open up a box for you, then you can go ahead and start applying for credit. Now, one other suggestion is a lot of people don't know this, but you can go to your USPS, your local yokel post office. You can get yourself a P.O. box and actually use their street address instead of P.O. box, whatever it is. So a lot of people don't know this, and it's fully legal for you to do this. And so when you're opening up a P.O. box, you can actually ask them, and if it's a very informed USPS employee, they'll tell you, yes, you can use our street address, because every post office in the country actually has a physical street address. So you could use their physical street address and then the number sign in your box number. You don't have to put box number or anything. You could just put, say it's on Main Street. Say it's 1234 Main Street. And so say your P.O. box is 1,000, right? 1,000. So you can use 1234 Main Street, number 1,000. And then you use city, state, zip. The zip code might be one digit off from the P.O. box digit. So the way that this quick and easy way for you to look it up is to go on Google on your phone, type in, USPS near me, and it'll give the street address of the post office near you, including the zip code. That will be the zip code that you can use for the street address version of your P.O. box, if that makes sense. And a lot of people also don't know is that you can actually receive FedEx and UPS shipments at your post office if you use the street address version of your post office. That's probably the cheapest way to get yourself a legit business address, is by doing it that way, because USPS rates are way lower than going to the UPS store or any of these other box service places. So you definitely want to make sure that you have a legitimate business address. Now, going a step further to make sure that you're really legit looking, I would strongly suggest that you go to GoDaddy.com. You get yourself a domain that matches the name of your business. Hopefully your business name is something really generic, like, Dynamic Solution Enterprises Inc., or something where people just don't know what the heck you do. That's ideally the kind of business that you want to have, is that you're not very specific. Like the last thing you're going to want is a company that's called Golf Pro and Equipment, Inc. You don't want people to know kind of what you do, because you never know what you're going to ultimately end up doing as an entrepreneur anyway. Like today, maybe you want to start an e-commerce store, and then tomorrow, after you realize the e-commerce store doesn't work out, you might want to pivot into some other kind of business, and you can't do that if you pigeonhole your business with the business name of golf or whatever, that would designate a specific kind of product or service. So that's why you want to keep it as broad of a company name as possible, as generic as possible. You literally want to be able to have a conversation with somebody in a grocery store, and you want to say, hey, I just started my new business, and they're like, oh, what kind of business? What's it called? And you want to be able to tell them the name of the business, and they have no clue what you do. And that's when you know that you've been successful in picking out the most generic possible business name. So with that business name, you'll go to GoDaddy.com, get yourself a domain name. So say, for example, the name of your company is Dynamic Solutions Enterprises. So you want to see if you can find the domain, dynamicsolutionsенterprises.com. And if you can't, I would find, Dynamic Enterprises or dynamicsolutions.com or dynamicsolutionenterprisesinc.com. Try to get as close to your actual filed business name as possible. You want the domain. And then when you're checking out on the GoDaddy website page, you want to make sure you grab the most El Cheapo email service that they have as you're checking out. And set up your email. You can set it up on your phone, so that now you have a legit business address, you now have a legit business domain, and you have a legit business email. Very important. So when you're setting up your email, you might want it to just be your first name. Like if your name is John, then john@thenameofyourcompany.com. Or you might want to step it up a little bit more, make it a little more professional, like your first and last name, if you have a short and easy to spell last name. Or you might just want to put your initials, your three initials. Like if your name is John Joe Smith, it's JJS@thenameofyourcompany.com. And then you now have a legit professional email address. Finally, the last step to make it look like you're super ultra professional is I recommend you get yourself a toll-free number. Toll-free numbers run usually on the low end between $5 and $10 a month, but it goes a long way in making you look really professional, especially as a brand new company. I recommend a company called Cal8.com, and for as little as $10, you can start a a toll-free number. Now, here's a rule about toll-free numbers. You want it to be either an 800 or 888 number. You don't want 877, you don't want 866, you don't want 855, 844, 833, none of the other ones that are available. You want only 800 or 888. Those are the oldest two, 800 being the oldest and 888 being the second oldest. So it makes it kind of look like you've been a more established company. Now, what you do with this 800 number is you can immediately, upon signing up with cal8.com and getting your first toll-free number, you can immediately port that over into and forward it into your cell number, okay? And then that way, at least it looks like you have a legit looking toll-free number for your business. And when you use this number for your applications, you want to make sure that this phone number is on your applications along with your professional email address, along with your professional business address. You want to make sure all of this stuff is together because it kind of starts to formulate what they call a business profile for you when you start to apply for credit with business credit companies that provide both business loans and business unsecured lines of credit, or also credit cards, right? So you want to have all of these things, and every single time you apply, you want to use the 800 number, you want to use your professional email address, you want to use your professional physical address, always, without exception. It makes you look more legit, because what's going to happen is when you actually apply for a credit card, they're going to ask you for your name, your home address, your company's name, your company EIN, which again is your employer identification number or your company's social security number essentially, and your company address along with your company phone number. You know, how unprofessional is it if you're putting your home address is the same as your business address? It just makes you look like some fly-by-night, work at home, not making any money kind of person. And on some level, their algorithms will pull down the amount of money and unsecured credit they will give to you. Trust me, I know this. That's not the way you want to go. Make sure you use your professional, actual, even if it's a U.S. Postal Service street address, you want to make sure that you use that on your application instead of your home address for your business location. All right, so that's number 2, is making sure that you have all the professional stuff, including your business address, your business 800 number, and your professional email address. All right, you don't have to worry about setting up any kind of website. You can go ahead and do that, a WordPress website that's attached to your domain if you really want to do that. Just a 1 or 2 page thing if you want to, but that's really not that important. The email address is kind of important though. And then once you get those 2 things, which is again, get your corporate entity up and running, get your address stuff and your persona stuff up and running. Then finally, step number 3 is going to be actually applying for credit. So just case in point, what ends up happening after you apply for your corporate identity, meaning that you go through a AmeriLawyer or an equivalent service to set up your corporation, what's going to end up happening fairly quickly after you get your corporation and get your stuff from the IRS and all these different documents, and it shows that you're a legit corporation and you have a legit entity, what's going to end up happening is you're going to start getting offers in the mail from American Express, from Chase Inc., from other credit card companies. Like case in point, for example, I just got this one. This is from Chase Inc. And this is just this one of the many that I get on a weekly basis, where it just basically gives you information on exactly how to apply, and it means that you're kind of pre-screened for the offer. You might as well go for it. You'll get a lot of them from American Express and others that are giving you unsecured credit for your business. So apply for every single thing that comes in, again, if you have that 680 or above mid FICO score, because they do rate some of your credit rating and your ability to repay your loan or your unsecured credit based on your personal credit as well. That's why they ask you for your social security number on all of these applications. So yes, you want to apply for all of these that come in the mail. You're going to get a lot of them. So this is another reason why you want to have a professional business mailing address so that you have access to all of these that'll come in. So you'll start noticing these coming in probably within the first 14 days of you starting your official S corporation from a AmeriLawyer or an equivalent company like that. So those are essentially the 3 steps in very quickly and easily setting up a business. Depending on the state that you're in will determine how long it'll take for you to get your corporate entity set up. Some states it's as little as a couple days. Other states like California, it could take 3 to 4 weeks. Of course, some of these services will offer express services, which are way expensive, not really worth it in my opinion. But this is just proof in the pudding that you can, as a brand new business, get unsecured credit And you can get anywhere from tens of thousands of dollars right off the bat to 100,000 or over, depending on how many of these credit cards you apply for. So, for example, Chase Inc., I happen to know because I've done business with them, they will give you, in many cases, $25,000 to $50,000 in unsecured credit off the bat, especially if you get one of these nice little things in the mail with them. They'll give you about 50 grand right off the bat in unsecured credit. And many times they'll even offer a 0% APR time frame from anywhere from 6 to 18 months, depending on what their current promotions are. American Express depends on, again, your mid FICO score, but American Express is pretty much approves everybody. They just have a different level of card. They'll start off with everybody with the gold card, and then you can work your way up from there. If you fly a lot, you can get the Delta Business American Express. So they have a lot of different American Express cards. American Express is a really good company to get involved in because you can get upwards of 6 cards with them, and you can also you qualify for working lines of credit and so forth. They have just a lot of different financial programs for small businesses. So you definitely want to get in with American Express as quickly as possible as a new business. But you can easily get, in the very least, just this card alone is worth 50,000 for most people, especially if you have a FICO of 720 or above. And if you apply for this, and if you apply for an American Express, and if you apply for a Bank of America card, an unsecured, they usually have a promotional period of 7 to 9 months, 0% APR. And if you apply for a couple of more cards, I don't recommend Discover Business, and I don't recommend Chase. I'm sorry, not Chase. I don't recommend you get Capital One for business, Sparks card, because the Sparks card and the Discover cards for business, they will report on your personal credit. You don't want that. The rest of these cards, as long as they're business cards, Business American Express, Citibank, Chase, all of these, they will not report on your personal credit, which is ideally what you want because you want to keep your personal FICO up as high as possible. You don't want to be laden down with a bunch of debt by having all these different cards showing up on your personal credit report. So again, do not get Capital One for business, which is their Sparks card, and do not get Discover Business for the Discover unsecured. And by the way, they don't give you anything for credit lines anyway. They'll give you a couple thousand if you're lucky. All the rest of these cards, you're looking at 25 to 50,000, 10 to 15,000 in the very least. And if you apply for 4 to 5 business credit cards right off the bat, you will be looking at around $100,000, even with a brand spanking new business. So I hope that helped you out a lot. And also, I want to recommend that if you don't have your 680 mid FICO score, go to the description box below. I have some free templates, some free letter templates that you can use to help fix your credit and help bump up your personal FICO score anywhere from 50 to 100 points in the next, say, month or so, provided that you follow all the instructions, as well as take a look at all the other personal credit videos that I've done. And I also give you a lot of tips and strategies on how to massively boost up your mid FICO score massively within the next month or two. So you want to check that out. But again, in the description box, you'll get my free letter templates to fix your personal credit if you need to increase that mid FICO score. If you like this video, go ahead and click the like button as well as subscribe to my channel. It helps me out a lot. And I have a ton of other videos on credit and building wealth with real estate, so go ahead and check those out. This is Monica Main signing off, and I will see you in the next video.